Jenny, thanks for coming on the podcast. How we always start off is a brief introduction of you and your business, and then we'll take it from there.
Fab. So my name is Jenny Kitchen, and I'm the CEO of an agency, a digital agency called Yoyo. It was Yoyo Design, and now we've dropped the design, and we're just pure Yoyo, which always has some giggles about kind of exactly how the name kind of arose. But it was mainly because my business partner loved yo-yos in the 1980s. So I've been running Yoyo for about 14 years now. So I feel like I've been doing it for a long time and I know my stuff, but then the reality of agency life is that everything is new every year. There's some different technology, some different tool, some different customer trend, all sorts of different things. Kind of, it's a fast-paced industry. So I also feel that excitement of newness a lot. I've been in marketing for the last 20 years. So I started off at university. During my university degree, actually, I studied linguistics. And I went straight, I think in my third year, I went straight to an agency, an experiential agency, working in loads and loads of different exciting clients across London. And so got my real sort of taste for agency life while still doing my degree. So then when I finished my degree, I was able to go straight into an agency doing retail marketing. And I worked there for 5 years, joined Yoyo, and then have been doing it ever since.
Right, very good. So what year is it that you joined Yoyo?
So the year was 2011. But I joined it. My business partner, Greg, had started it a few years beforehand. He's a creative director and he started it with another creative director. So they had all so much talent within the business. But what they needed was someone with a business mindset, with the marketing skills, with the client service skills that I had built up over the sort of 6 years prior. And so I came along kind of fresh-faced, huge amounts of energy and naivety, but also kind of knowing that actually ambition will get you through quite a lot of those early days. And so we joined forces and we've been working together. Jan has since left. He left about 5 or 6 years ago, although he's still working and doing bits and pieces with us now. But Greg and I have been running the business ever since.
Very good. So it's quite unique, I guess, for the people that especially the people that I've talked to on the podcast, rather than starting their own business from scratch. It's sort of joining one and then becoming part of that ownership after. Maybe it might be good to go through some of that, like that transition from being an employee to then being one of the owners and having, I would guess, more responsibility and pressure, and you start to see the other side of being a business owner. What are some of the things that you struggled with to start with, do you think?
I think it's I think you looking at organizational sort of structures and things, then when I first joined Yoyo, then there was only 4 of us, at the time. And so it doesn't feel like I was joining something that was incredibly well established.
Yeah.
And I was having to learn and adapt based on that. We were building something together, and that was always from the outset sort of framed in that way. And the ownership part came sort of 10, 11 months later. And it just felt like a natural transition. It wasn't, I was always building it and felt like I'd been building it as my baby right from the beginning. I think one of the challenges, and this will affect other business owners who have started the businesses from scratch, is we had 4 business owners at that time. And that was a challenge, actually. It was great in some ways because we covered lots of different areas between us and lots of different skill sets. And obviously we were doing it, there was a group of us, so it felt very collaborative and a lot of fun. But then the downsides of it is you're navigating 4 different people's personalities, their visions, their
Yeah.
ways of doing things. And actually, if you think of sort of Myers-Briggs, or those kind of like different personalities, where you've got sort of blue, red, green, yellow, then we were all in different quadrants, which was great in terms of diversity of thought, but not so great in terms of us all pulling in different directions and wanting different things from the business. So I think more than anything, the challenge was more about the amount of owners that we had in those kind of like in that early stage. And now with two of us at the helm and in that sort of ownership, then it becomes so much more simple in terms of kind of direction, vision, clarity of thought, and communication to the team.
Yeah, and the people that I've had on that are co-founders, it almost probably 90% of the time it's always been one person is this or looks after this side of the business, and this person looks after the other side of the business, and they're actually complete opposite personalities as well, which it seems to be the right mix. You get the odd one that are quite similar and they work on similar things, but the majority of them have been like complementary skills, and you take care of this and I'll take care of this.
That's it. That's exactly it. That. And sort of with Greg now, then myself and Greg we are complete opposites in some ways, but then have enough of the fundamental sort of values to be aligned. But in the early days of Yoyo, with 4 different directors, then we didn't have clear roles and responsibilities. I mean, obviously there was one person was doing creative and one person was doing technical and one person was doing account management and things. But in terms of the running of the business, then we were all doing different parts. And that's when probably about a year, 18 months or so after, so 2012, then we got some consultants on board and to help us to grow the business. And they advised us to decide on having an MD, and an MD who was actually going to run things between the 4 of us. So we all kind of had this slightly awkward board meeting where we're all looking at each other going, who's this going to be? And unanimously, then everybody in the room, including the 2 business consultants, looked at myself. It was a logical step in terms of business, organization, leadership, etc. But I was 26 at the time, and only a year into owning a business. And that felt quite a scary step. And there was lots of imposter syndrome. There was lots of, am I qualified for this? But the thing is, running a business, you're not really qualified for it. You don't, yes, you can do an MBA, but nothing really teaches you how to be a leader of a business, of a growing business. It's a case of experience. It's learning, doing, making lots of mistakes and then learning from them. It's trying new things. It's building your network. It's looking at your strategy and trying to find the right people who can help you along with that strategy. So it is a bit of a sort of a roller coaster of a job, and no one's really qualified for it. But at the time, I didn't think that. I just thought, oh, goodness, I'm too young and inexperienced to do this. But I took the mantle and haven't looked back.
Very good. We'll bring it a little bit more up to date then, maybe from the period where it's just where you and Greg are the sole owners of the business. So you say that's around 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
What have been so where was the business at then, like in terms of like how many people that you had, and maybe go through like what the business was delivering for clients then? I don't know if it's changed or evolved over time, but maybe just give us a picture of what it looked like at that point.
Yeah, well, customer went back 5 years ago was 2020. And so it was a pretty wild time. So if we go back to 2019, then we've always had digital at the heart of what we do. And even though that has sort of evolved over the years, and we've experimented with different services and different types of work, then digital has always been at the center. And I think actually over the years, we've scrap that.
No.
Can you? I'll start that whole piece again. So let's start from 2019. That's when the business was going strong. We were 25 people or so. Digital has always been at the core of what we do. We were delivering websites, we were delivering sort of applications, campaigns, digital tools. But then we were also, because of the nature of digital, then we were also doing a lot of brand evolutions. Because a lot of the time when we're doing a website, then a client will come to us and sort of say, okay, well, we need a website and we need to say this, and here are our brand guidelines. But actually throughout the project, we identify that the brand doesn't necessarily translate particularly well in the digital area, or actually we want to push it further. So to engage with different audience types or to better meet their objectives. And so although we work within the digital kind of remit, then quite a lot of our work ends up being brand evolution as well, and brand and design and the creative side of things. So we were going strong within this. We had sort of 40, 50 different clients, lots of different sectors. We've never specialized in a particular niche. We have got a lot of great experience in particular sectors, but our viewpoint is that because we innovate a lot in the work that we do, then specializing in one particular vertical means that we could become stale, and we never want that. We always want to be bringing in fresh ideas. And so therefore, when we work in financial services, then we can take inspiration from our work in travel or our work within not-for-profit sector. So we can sort of cross-pollinate ideas across sectors. So that was 2019, going strong. Then obviously 2020 happened. And this was overnight. Lots of our clients really struggled. They pulled the plug on projects. They changed kind of strategies. And who were we to say at that time, yes, we could have thrown contracts at them. Yes, we could have gone down a legal sort of road. But the reality is we were all trying to make ends meet and to try and sort of make sense of this slightly crazy situation. So a lot of our client projects changed and morphed into different forms. And we rapidly learnt how to build e-commerce platforms. We had done a bit of e-commerce in the past, but we really focused on building up our Shopify experience and our e-commerce experience, because a lot of brands were then going online to sell online. So we picked up a lot of new clients and perfected these e-commerce services, which that in as well as doing furlough with some of our team meant that we rode out that difficult time during the pandemic. And actually it allowed us to come out the other side much stronger, because we helped to build in better, stronger operational processes. We didn't lose any of the team, which was fantastic, but we were much clearer on roles and responsibilities, and it almost just tightened up the whole business. Alongside the pandemic, 2020 also saw us becoming a B Corp. And this also helped us to evolve the business. So we've always been very much involved in our local community. We've always been very people focused, because ultimately that is our business. And we've always been mindful of the impact around us. But the B Corp accreditation allowed us to really bake those into everything that we did across the business. So that also happened in 2020. So it was a big monumental year. Pandemic, B Corp, and also we became 3 business partners to 2 business partners. So then over the last kind of 5 years with just me and Greg kind of at the helm, then we've just been really growing the team, growing those services, and really bedding in into our B Corp accreditation, but bedding in those values and the values around being a responsible business. And that has also seen us developing another spin-off kind of organization beyond Yoyo, which is helping other businesses to be sustainable.
Very good. Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, the majority of people that I speak to went through the COVID period, and it's either COVID was brilliant, we had our best ever years, or it was very tough, and it nearly finished us off, or did finish us off in certain instances. And the ones that had always thrived were the ones that served online businesses and e-commerce businesses. So maybe it's interesting to find out, like, the process you went through to then spot. It's obvious looking back that online was the way to go and was the place that was going to thrive in that period. But what was the process that you took to recognize that in that time and say, this is where we're going to go?
I've always been a real advocate of building communities and building your network. Yes, it's kind of from a business development perspective, it's great to know more people and to be involved in different communities. But actually, more than that, it allows you to be on the pulse when it comes to customer trends, industry trends, or what's going on in the general sort of market. And during that time, I still run a female leadership community. And I was involved in an organization called Helm, which is for founders. I was involved in a few industry sort of agency networks as well. And so you sort of, when challenges occur, then really leaning on those networks and really listening in to what the intent is, what the kind of general feel is, and then that can help you to spot opportunities that are happening. And so obviously looking back, it was obvious that e-commerce was going to be a sort of a significant trend. But I really do believe that having those good networks and having kind of really knowledgeable and on the pulse sort of community groups allows you to respond to those trends quicker.
Very good. Yeah, and it's interested to know then, like, you go from probably not serving those types of businesses to then recognizing it, spotting it, and then you have to go and get the new business from, or you have to go and sign these companies as clients. What were the main drivers behind that? Was it again using that network, or was it going out and doing a bit of business development, if you like?
We've always had a really good reputation, which is fantastic for any business, because it means that those recommendations, then they just happen without much input from yourselves in terms of a biz dev perspective. So I've got a lot of thanks to give to my team in terms of the customer service and in terms of our work, because our work, if we help our clients to succeed, then we succeed, because they then recommend us and we build much better relationships with our clients. And so the years prior to the pandemic was what got us through the pandemic, because our clients, even if they were pulling budgets or changing strategies and changing kind of projects that they were doing with us, they were recommending us to others, which I am so grateful for, because that really, really made a huge difference across that kind of 2020 and 2021 period. In terms of actually proactive business development, then yes, tapping into those networks. Because of our B Corp accreditation, and also my personal desire and ambition to help other businesses along the B Corp process, then I spoke out a lot on the subject. So I was doing podcasts and webinars and doing various kind of presentations at these in different community groups. And that opened up new conversations, new partnerships. So that was also a kind of a big catalyst for us, adding new clients to our portfolio throughout that year.
Very good. Well, maybe bring it up to today then, and maybe you've, like I said, the services that you provide might have evolved. Definitely the industries that you've gone into have. Where is the business today? Maybe give us a full picture of what it does. And yeah, any projects that you want to go through as well that you think could be good.
Yeah. So even though the pandemic was a challenging time, financially, because of furlough and because of because of other sort of support, then we rode out 2020, 21 and 22 without much difficulty. But actually, towards the end of 23 and most of 2024, it was a really, really tough market for many, many agencies. Some have closed, many have made redundancies, and it's been a really difficult time to be in business. There is the cost of living crisis on the one hand, so that is pushing up, for responsible employers anyway, then it's pushing up wages, it's pushing up sort of benefits, operational costs have increased, but also because of all of that, then client budgets have sometimes changed, and the amount that clients are putting towards innovation has decreased. So all of that has meant for quite a difficult landscape in the last couple of years. And this has been us, but many others within our sector. So it's definitely been an interesting time, and we've dealt with this in a way of really kind of honing in on what we're good at and what we know that we can be the best at, as opposed to trying to desperately cling on to lots of different things and trying, when times are tough, kind of reinventing ourselves and changing our message and proposition. We've actually really embedded it into the business and kept very strong on who we are and what we do, and more importantly, what we don't do. And so our services have actually, the amount of services that we've provided have actually decreased, but that has led to huge improvements in terms of what we do and how we do it. And that has then in turn led to much better reputation. New clients have come on board, and for the last kind of 6 to 9 months, then the business has really come out strong, and we're in a fantastic place now. But it has been, I always say that it's, during the tough times, it's really difficult to keep your morale up, spirits high for yourself, but for the team as well, mainly for the team, actually. But the reality is that good things have always come out of tough and challenging moments, because then that's when you have to really dig deep and make the changes that you need to make in order to succeed. And that has looked like sort of some change in the team structure. We brought in new people. We have changed kind of the structure of the business to make it leaner, but to make it much more kind of allowing each person to really focus on their strengths, as opposed to trying to wear too many hats in the organization. So that people side has really worked well for us, and we have never had such a strong team in place. In terms of the technology, we have really embraced, obviously, given what we do, we've always embraced technology. But in the last year, then that has increased considerably, given the sort of tools that are on the market, but also experimenting with AI and bringing that within our operational processes. As we were speaking about before the podcast, then it's still in its infancy in terms of how it can be effectively used across the business. And there still needs to be a huge amount of human intervention in terms of what it can do. But we are using it across the board now to try and improve efficiencies, but also to gain greater insight for our customers and ourselves. So it's quite an exciting time when it comes to technology and how we do things. And then in terms of the work, the terms in the work that we're doing, then as I mentioned, we work across different sectors. We work within the not-for-profit in the third sector. We work in travel, in finance, in medical, and various others as well. And we enjoy that different dynamic. A lot of our work tends to be digital partnerships. So we act as an outsourced partner that help our clients to navigate this ever-changing world of digital sort of tools and services, and help them then to use their messaging, their brand, their positioning to really communicate who they are. And a lot of our work tends to be outcome orientated in terms of increasing revenue, increasing audience kind of engagement, breaking into new territories. Or in terms of the not-for-profit sector, then it tends to be kind of increasing donations, increasing volunteers, and that type of thing. So our goal is always kind of strategic led, but the way that we do it is through digital application.
Very good. And yeah, touching on some of the stuff that you said at the start of that, I've not met anybody that hasn't had tough times as a business and then not said that that's been like either one of, well, they all say it's been one of the best things that ever happened to us, but you don't realize that at the time. You don't think that at the time. But then to come out of it and, like you said, like the processes that you've got in place now and the structured changes that you've made make a real difference for the future. Tough times will probably, or not, maybe not as extreme, but a tough time will probably come again. But going through the ones previously put you in a strong position that it shouldn't be as effective as maybe previously it would have been.
That's it. And my biggest recommendation of how to run businesses in 2025 and kind of in the future is to keep things simple. We tend to overcomplicate so much as human beings. And when you kind of break things down into much more sort of simple, digestible pieces, then it becomes much easier to work with and much easier for the team to understand, and then to take that vision and to take that strategy and to execute on it. And I think in times when times are tough, I always look at kind of what we're doing and realize that we've overcomplicated things and we have got in our own way. So it means that we are fighting against kind of these invisible kind of battles, when actually, if we strip it back, then ultimately we want to pay people well, give them a good place of work, we want to do good work for our clients, and we want to do good work in our community. And when you break that down into sort of simple, kind of tangible kind of aspects, then business becomes a lot more clear. And it can help with structures, and it can help. It's much better to have 5 priorities that you're all working towards rather than 50 priorities that you confuse yourself, and it makes it very difficult to navigate and to come out strong. So my kind of like my advice is always to just strip things back and to keep business as simple as possible.
Yeah. I always see that if I go on a company's website and you read where XYZ and you don't even understand what it is, and they probably don't even understand what they're saying. It's like, how do you expect that to be then communicated to prospects and clients? Whereas if you just, take it back to its simplest form and it's very clear, and you need to understand it as well as people looking at it for the first time need to understand it as well. I think that's kind of on the similar lines.
Absolutely. And when it comes to especially like website copy, for an accessibility purpose, then the sort of guidelines always say, write your copy as if it were written for a 9-year-old. And that's from an accessibility perspective, but it's also from every user perspective, because everyone is time poor. Everyone is racing around and have a million things that are coming at them, whether it's advertising or work or personal or kids or whatever it is. And actually, if your kind of website copy is written full of business jargon and full of complexity, then it really, really diminishes the user's experience. And so I just love that kind of that nugget to always write for, it doesn't have to be exactly 9-year-old, because obviously 9-year-olds can vary greatly. But for that sort of that older child, older sort of, sort of child and things, that's the language, that's the type of colloquial language that you want to put on your website. Business jargon has no place on any website.
Yeah. Okay, it leads nicely then into looking at into the future. You mentioned that the business is on like in a real good place right now. Many business owners listening to this will know that when things are going well, you can often take your eye off the ball and off like things like new business, and that gets ignored, and then that's how you get the dips and stuff. What are you looking at in the next maybe 2 years or so? The plan for the business. You mentioned the technology that you're implementing now, but what's next for Yoyo?
We've done so much work in the last 2 years around our own processes and our internal processes, and we now feel like we are in, or we don't feel, we know that we're in a really, really good position now to add projects, to add to our client portfolio, and knowing that actually our processes will stand up for growth, which is a great position to be in. So now we've got the right people in place, and we've got the right internal structures, we've got the right, approach. Then really our goal is around growth, because we know that our internal sort of our existing clients are going to be safe and secure, knowing that they have the right team and structure, and we will continue to deliver at the high standard that we've always have done. But we can add to that now. We can bring in new clients. We can add team members within the existing structure. So our goal now is about growth. So we have brought on board a external organization to help us with this. I've got a fantastic sales and marketing team who one in particular has been with me for a decade, and she is fantastic, but she is now taking the step up, and we have got an external organization to help us with that transition. Setting up sort of outreach programs, making sure that our marketing planning is as optimized as it possibly can be, and also giving that mentoring and advice and guidance for my team to help them with building a really good sales function within the business, because we've never needed it before. But now we're really looking to the future, and instead of it being more reactive, we want to be much more proactive in our approach. And we have done a lot of work over the years, but it's been more scattergun approach. Whereas now I feel very confident that we've got a clear strategy when it comes to our sales and marketing that we can then build and grow upon. So, as I said, the last 2 years have been about more internally focused and making sure that our team structure and our processes are really solid. And now it's very much looking to that future growth and getting in the right people and the right systems to attract new clients. We've also we have done a lot of work within particular sectors to then grow those sectors in a way which we know that we're adding a huge amount of value, because we have, whenever a brief comes to us now, then it's not a case of looking through it going, yes, we can do this, and we could probably do this. It's actually saying, no, we can do all of those things, and we have a decade's worth of experience behind us in doing it. And that is such a more comfortable, confident place to be. And it allows us to really work with our clients to not only do the things that they want and need for us, but it allows us to then take new ideas and new kind of innovations to them that they haven't even thought about now. So it allows us to be in a much more consultative position and to help them to navigate the kind of the years ahead, which are going to be complicated, actually. I think it's even though I say business is simple, the kind of explosion of AI tools on the market is making digital exciting place to be, but also a place where you need to kind of have your like
Yeah.
belt on. It's going to be a fast ride because things are developing every single day, and it's going at such a rate that our clients' heads are spinning in terms of how do they keep up. So it's our job to do that deep level research, to keep up to date of every single kind of trend and everything that's out there, and be in the best place possible to help them to navigate the next 5 years.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, if people like the sound of what you do and want to check out you and the business, and you mentioned that you've got a community for female founders as well, where can they find all of that?
So website is yoyodesign.com. And then my email address is jenny@yoyodesign.com. And I'm always welcome and open to meet new people. I'm a bit of a social butterfly. So I would welcome, if you have any questions, then I am happy to jump on a call.
Awesome. Well, Jenny, thanks for coming on. I know, I'm excited to see the next phase of Yoyo for you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.